Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. We are diving into something today that honestly touches so many lives.
Yeah.
But it can often feel like, you're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, but like blindfolded buying a home.
Right. Exactly.
Especially when you think about like the scale of this like financial commitment that you're making.
It is a huge decision.
It's huge.
For most people. Yeah.
Yeah, so our mission today is to like take off that blindfold, give
Yeah.
you a clear view of the Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
We're breaking down the top 10 steps of buying a home to bring some clarity to the whole thing and hopefully a few of those like aha moments.
Love it.
So think of this as your shortcut
Okay.
to feeling really informed about the whole process. And we are pulling all of this from HRC Realty's Home Buyer's Guide.
Awesome.
It's a really practical resource.
Yeah. Great resource.
Yeah, so for you listening right now, whether you're like actively scrolling through listings, or maybe you're just starting to kind of think about the idea of buying, or maybe somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And this deep dive is designed to like really equip you with the knowledge that you need
Yes.
to feel more confident and in control as you're kind of navigating this whole like crazy journey of buying a home.
For sure.
So let's unpack this whole thing.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Starting right at the beginning with step number 1, before you begin.
Before you even begin.
Before you even begin.
I love that.
So the guide really emphasizes something that might seem obvious,
Okay.
but is actually super fundamental. Taking a good look inward before you even start thinking about open houses
Yes.
or mortgage rates. It's all about you.
That self-reflection is so key.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get caught up in, looking at houses online.
Yeah.
And all the visuals and getting excited about that.
Totally.
Taking a moment for yourself and saying, like, what am I actually trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
What am I hoping to get out of this home purchase is so important.
That's the core question, right?
That is the core question. You
Yeah.
have to ask yourself.
And the guide gives some like really relatable scenarios. Like,
Okay.
okay, are you a first-time buyer
Right.
who's eager to start building equity and like putting down roots?
Yeah.
Or have you totally outgrown your current space?
Uh-huh.
And you're practically living in a hallway at this point.
You need more space.
You need more space.
Yeah.
Or maybe a new job is taking you to a new city.
Yep.
Or maybe you're at that stage of life where like downsizing makes sense.
Right.
Like you're empty nesters or something.
Downsizing.
Yeah. And what I think is really interesting is that, depending on your motivation,
Mm-hmm.
that should really change your whole approach to this.
It should. Absolutely.
If your primary goal is just like, hey, I'm a first-time buyer, I want to start building equity,
Yeah.
you might prioritize different features and locations
Right.
than someone who's downsizing and they just want like
Exactly.
low-maintenance lifestyle.
Yeah. You're going to be looking at totally different things.
Totally different things.
Different price points, different locations.
Yeah. And the guide strongly recommends creating a list
Okay.
of must-needs and like-to-have.
Oh, that's good.
This is gold
Yeah.
because it helps you categorize everything from those like non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Like I need 3 bedrooms or I need 2 bathrooms
Uh-huh.
to those dream features like a chef's kitchen
Right.
or walk-in closet,
Or a big backyard.
a big backyard, or
Yeah.
being in the school district.
Exactly. All those things that you would like to have but aren't necessarily deal breakers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this really brings home the idea that understanding your reasons for buying
Yes.
will save you so much time
So much time.
and help you avoid those like emotional impulse buys,
Yeah.
which can be expensive mistakes.
Yes. Very expensive.
Like going grocery shopping on an empty stomach
Exactly.
versus going when you have a list.
Yes. You don't want to go to the grocery store hungry. You're
Exactly.
going to buy all kinds of things you don't need.
You're going to come home with like a bunch of junk food.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, let's move on
Okay.
to step number 2. Talk with a lender.
Talk with a lender. Okay.
So the guide is pretty firm on this one.
Okay.
Do this relatively early in the process to get a really clear picture of what you can realistically afford.
Mhm.
And they even suggest like asking friends or family
Oh, yeah.
for recommendation
Referrals are great.
for good lenders, whether
Yes.
that's a bank or a mortgage broker.
Absolutely. And you want to make sure you're working with somebody that you trust.
Right.
And that has a good reputation and that is going to be there for you throughout the process.
Exactly, because this is going to be a long relationship.
It is. Yeah. It's not just a one-time transaction.
Yeah, so getting that pre-approval early
Yes.
is not only a good idea for you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also like a signal to sellers that you're a serious and qualified buyer.
That you're ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when you sit down with a lender, be prepared to share a good bit of your financial life.
Okay.
Like, they're going to want to see everything.
Transparency is key here.
Yeah, so the guide lays out what you'll likely need.
Okay.
Those recent pay stubs?
Yep.
your W-2s,
Mm-hmm.
bank account statements,
Uh-huh.
and your tax returns from the last 2 years.
Okay.
This is all to help them verify your income. And they really emphasize the importance of being completely upfront
Yes.
about all your debt.
Everything.
Do not hide
Do
anything
not hide anything.
from them.
They're going to find it anyway.
They will find it.
So it's better to be an upfront and honest from the beginning.
Yeah, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid to get it over with.
Exactly.
They're going to run a credit check on you.
Okay.
Take a look at your FICO scores.
So your FICO score is basically a number that represents your credit worthiness?
Yeah.
So how likely you are to repay a loan.
Yeah, so it's like a numerical snapshot
Yes.
of your creditworthiness.
Exactly.
And they calculate your debt-to-income ratio,
Right.
which is the percentage of your monthly income
Uh-huh.
that goes towards paying off debt.
All of your debts.
All of your debts. So the guide gives you some general benchmarks.
Okay.
It says you might be able to allocate up to around 31% of your gross monthly income for the mortgage itself.
Mhm.
And then with a total monthly debt hovering around 36%.
Okay.
But they stress that these are just general guidelines.
Those are just estimates, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different for everybody.
Your lender will be able to give you more specific numbers.
Right, based on your situation.
Based on your income, your debts, your credit score, all that good stuff.
Exactly. So here's where it gets really interesting
Okay.
and maybe a little counterintuitive. The guide includes a list of don'ts,
Okay, don't. I like this.
things you should absolutely avoid while you're trying to get a mortgage. And some of these might surprise you.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's like, don't pay off a credit card balance.
What?
Don't close credit cards.
Really?
Don't pay off collections.
Huh.
Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
So it seems counterintuitive, right?
It does.
Because we're always told to pay down our debt.
Right.
But when you're applying for a mortgage, lenders are looking for stability in your credit history.
Okay.
So if you suddenly pay off a big chunk of debt or close a credit card, it can actually lower your credit score.
Because it looks like
Yeah, it can look like you're less reliable.
you're in trouble or something.
Exactly. So it's best to just leave everything as is
Okay.
until after you close in your home.
So it's really about the timing
It is all about timing.
within the home buying process.
Yes.
And the guide also says don't apply for any new credit,
Oh, yeah.
like no new credit cards, no car loans.
Do not open any new lines of credit.
None of that.
It will ding your credit score.
And whatever you do,
Yeah.
do not make any big changes with your job
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
during this period.
Because lenders want to see stability.
Right.
They want to see that you've had a consistent job for a while.
Right. And that you're going to be able to make those mortgage payments.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to step number 3,
Step 3.
establish a price range.
Okay, price range.
Now, the guide makes a really crucial distinction here.
All right.
And this is something I really want you to take to heart. Just because a lender says you can qualify for a certain mortgage amount
Uh-huh.
doesn't mean that's how much you should spend.
That's so important.
It's so important.
You remember that just because you can qualify for a certain amount doesn't
Yeah.
mean that's what's best for you.
Yeah, you don't want to be house poor.
Exactly.
Where you're like putting all of your money
Yeah, and sacrificing your lifestyle
towards your housing and you can't do anything
I
else.
don't want to do that.
Yeah, so they really prompt you to think about all those other monthly expenses
Right.
that you have beyond just your mortgage payment.
Why
Right?
not?
Your dinners out,
Uh-huh.
your
Yeah.
hobbies,
Yeah.
vacations,
Activities, kids'
kid
activities.
activities,
All those things.
all the things that contribute to your lifestyle.
that make life enjoyable.
Yeah, so the lender is also going to help you get an estimate of those additional costs
Okay.
that come with homeownership,
Like what?
like homeowners association dues,
Uh-huh.
property taxes,
Mm-hmm.
and other potential fees.
Okay.
And the guide stresses that these can vary significantly,
They can.
depending on the location.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, property taxes especially can differ,
yes.
even between neighboring towns.
Yes, even just a few miles down the road.
So crazy.
It can be a big difference.
And the final piece of the puzzle here in this step
Okay.
is to consult a tax professional,
Oh, yeah.
especially for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
There might be some tax advantages associated with homeownership
Tax benefits, right?
that could actually lead to overall savings,
Okay.
even if that monthly mortgage payment seems higher than your current rent.
So it's worth talking to a tax professional
It really
to
is.
see what you might be eligible for.
Yeah, because there might be some surprises there.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to step number 4.
Step 4.
Evaluate possible locations and communities.
Okay.
So this can be a really exciting stage,
It is exciting.
whether you're looking to move a few blocks over
Right.
or across the country.
Yeah.
The guide highlights all the great online tools
Oh, yeah.
that are available now to help you with this research.
The internet has changed everything
It really has.
for home buyers.
Yeah, you've got so much information
You have so much information at your fingertips.
at your fingertips.
Amazing.
So they list some practical online searches
Okay, like what?
that you can do, like obviously browsing actual home listings.
Uh-huh.
But you can look into local schools and their rankings.
Yeah.
You can check crime statistics And even research like cultural events, theaters, art scenes.
Yeah.
You can even look at shopping and dining options.
All of that is available online now.
All online. And they even suggest using tools like Google Earth
Oh, yeah.
to get a closer look at communities and even individual homes.
So you can do a virtual tour
You can.
before you even step foot in the house.
It's crazy. But the guide also emphasizes that online research is great for getting started,
Okay.
but it's just preliminary.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely need to visit those neighborhoods in person
You have to go see it for yourself.
to really get a sense of what they're like.
Get a feel for the vibe.
Yeah, walk the streets, talk to some people.
Talk to the neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. All right, step number 5.
Okay, step 5.
Find a good buyer's agent.
This is a big one.
This is crucial. Now, the guide makes a really important distinction
Okay.
between a listing agent
Mm-hmm.
who represents the seller
Right.
and a buyer's agent
Okay.
who works exclusively for you, the buyer.
That's important to remember.
So important.
You have somebody on your side.
On your side.
Looking out for your best interests.
Yeah. So a buyer's agent has a fiduciary duty
That's right.
to act in your best interests throughout the entire transaction.
The whole process.
From start
to finish.
Yeah. So they're really there to listen to your specific needs.
Yes.
Your people wants your financial goals,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're going to help you find properties that fit the bill.
Yeah.
They act as your personal representative,
Right.
handling all the negotiations.
Yes, they're your advocate.
They're your advocate.
In the transaction.
Yeah, and a good buyer's agent isn't just about pointing out houses.
No.
They can also bring in a whole network of other experts
Oh, yeah.
who might be helpful to you.
Like what?
So like tax consultants,
Uh-huh.
mortgage brokers if you haven't found one already,
Okay.
credit counselors,
Mm-hmm.
home inspectors,
Yeah, all those people that you need
all those
will
people.
make the process go smoothly.
Yeah, so it's like a whole team of people
It is, yeah.
who are working for you.
Working for you.
Yeah, and they also play a key role in helping you explore different communities,
Mm-hmm.
like providing insights into local amenities, school
Mhm.
districts,
Mm-hmm.
even things like potential resale value.
Yeah.
All of these factors can help you make a really informed decision.
A well-rounded decision.
Yeah, and their support doesn't end
No.
once your offer is accepted.
It doesn't.
They're there during that ESCO period
That's right.
to help you navigate all sorts of things.
Like what?
Like negotiating repairs that might come up
Hmm.
after inspections, or dealing with issues with insurance or the appraisal,
Mhm.
and even handling potential title problems.
Yeah. So many things can come up.
So many things.
During that time.
Yeah, and the guide makes it really clear
Okay.
that even though their commission
Mm-hmm.
is typically paid by the seller,
Right.
the buyer's agent works solely for you, the buyer.
That's important to remember.
Yeah, you're their client.
You are their client.
They're working for you. All right, step number 6.
Thing 6. Okay.
Viewing homes and writing offers.
The fun part.
This is the exciting part for a lot of people.
This is what people think of when they think of buying a house.
I know.
Going to open houses.
Going to open houses, looking at places, but the guide reminds you to stay grounded
Okay.
and keep that must-needs like they have a list.
Yeah, don't forget that list.
Don't forget that list. Close at hand.
Because it's easy to get emotional when you
It's-
walk into a beautifully staged home.
Right, and you just like fall in love with it,
Yeah, and forget about all the things that are actually important to you.
and then you end up in a house that doesn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, so your agent is going to discuss
Okay.
homes that you've pre-selected
Mm-hmm.
based on your criteria.
Yep.
And they might suggest some others
Okay.
based on their knowledge of the market.
Right, because they know what's out there.
They know what's out there.
They know what's coming up.
Yeah, and the guide advises you to listen
Yeah.
to your agent's insights
Okay.
because they might be aware of neighborhood issues or
Right.
future developments that
Right.
could impact the property.
Like what?
Maybe there's a big development that's planned for right next door.
Yeah, you don't want to find out about that after you've already bought the house.
You don't. And for those of you who are relocating
Mm-hmm.
from out of town,
Okay.
they specifically caution against feeling rushed
Yeah.
to find something on your first day.
Take your time.
Take your
It's a
time.
big decision.
Huge decision. Don't feel pressured. And a really important reminder for everyone,
Okay.
prioritize those musts and needs
Yes.
over less essential features like cosmetic upgrades.
Yeah, you can always change the paint color.
Exactly.
You can't change the location.
You can't change the location. So the guide lays out some key factors
Okay.
to consider while you're viewing homes.
What kind of things?
Like road noise, traffic, neighborhood amenities, homeowners association costs and services,
Right.
property taxes, special assessments,
Okay.
information about schools, crime statistics.
Important stuff.
All important stuff. And once you find a place that feels right,
Okay.
you and your agent will sit down and discuss the price and the terms of your offer.
Writing the offer.
Yeah, and the guy mentions that in a competitive market,
Okay.
sometimes offering a quick closing date
Mm-hmm.
or fewer contingencies could make your offer more attractive to the seller.
Yeah, because it makes it less risky for them.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about contingencies in a
Okay.
little bit. But that brings us to step number 7.
Okay.
What happens when you are under contract?
Under contract.
So the guide explains that this period, after the seller accepts your offer, is formally known as escrow.
Escrow.
And there are 2 main categories of things that happen during this time.
All right.
Arranging the final details for your financing, and then doing your own due diligence on the property. So securing your loan is obviously paramount.
Yes.
And this involves the lender's final approval process, working with the title company,
Okay.
providing you with a good faith estimate of all the costs, and ordering a formal appraisal of the property.
The appraisal.
The appraisal and that appraisal has to come in
It does.
at or above the price that you offered on the home.
If it doesn't,
You might be in trouble.
you might have to renegotiate or walk away.
Yeah, because the lender's not going to give you as much money
That's right.
as you were expecting.
They're not going to lend on a house that's not worth what you're paying for it.
Exactly. So the appraisal is the lender's way of verifying
Making sure
that the property is worth it.
Yes, making sure that their investment is protected.
Exactly. So the other significant part of this stage for you is due diligence. So the seller is legally required to provide you with disclosures about the property and the neighborhood. And this is your opportunity to really dig in and thoroughly investigate everything.
Everything.
The guide emphasizes that until the agreed-upon contingencies are removed from the contract, you still have the option to withdraw from the deal without major financial penalties.
That's your safety net?
It is.
Those contingencies are there to protect you.
Yeah, so this is the time for you to conduct those home inspections and really get to know the community.
Walk around, talk to people.
See what it's like. The guide says that a bunch of small decisions that you make during this period will lead to the final closing.
So it's all about making sure that you're comfortable.
That you're comfortable with everything before you move forward.
Okay, step number 8.
Okay, step 8.
Contingencies.
So the guide explains that the option period begins once you have a fully executed agreement with the sellers.
Right.
And this marks the start of your window for those thorough investigations.
The due diligence period.
That we just talked about. So contingencies are conditions that have to be satisfied in order for the contract to remain legally binding.
So they're basically escape clauses
for
the buyer.
Yeah. And importantly for you, until these contingencies are removed, you have the right to cancel the contract.
That's right.
With little or no financial penalty. So the guide lists some of the most common contingencies.
Okay. Like what?
That you'll likely encounter. So this includes a satisfactory home inspection, a clear termite inspection, appraisal.
The appraisal has to come in at the right value.
At or above the offer value.
Yes.
Your final loan approval coming through clear title, meaning they actually own the house.
That they can actually sell it to you.
And have the right to sell it.
Yeah.
And then insurability, you can actually get homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
All this property. So these are all like the standard safeguards that most buyers will include in their offers. And here's where the guide addresses a common misunderstanding. Something for you to really pay attention to. Just because a seller agrees to fix an issue doesn't automatically mean that you have to proceed with the sale.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So they give this example about a tree root problem. Even if the seller agrees to remove the tree, you might still have concerns about future issues with the remaining roots or other trees on the property.
Yeah.
And you still have the right to cancel.
Exactly.
Based on those concerns.
You're not obligated to buy the house.
You're not.
Just because they fixed one thing.
Even if they fix everything on your list, you still have the right.
You can still walk away.
To walk away.
If you're not comfortable.
Yeah, if you're not comfortable. Okay, step number 9.
Step 9.
Request for repairs. So let's say those home inspections reveal some issues you're not comfortable with. You then have the option to submit a request to the seller to make specific repair.
To fix those issues.
Before the sale is final.
So
the guide notes that this formal repair request often includes a clause that releases the inspection contingency. If the seller agrees to your request.
So it's important to have all your inspections done.
All of them done.
Before you submit that request.
Yeah. They point out that in today's market, buyers tend to focus their requests on like big deal breaker type issues rather than like minor cosmetic things like a torn window screen.
Yeah, nobody's going to walk away from a house because of a torn window screen.
Right. Your buyer's agent is really crucial here.
They are.
Because they can help you review all those inspection results and guide you in understanding what a reasonable repair requests
in your market.
in your